Welcome to the Powerful Comicsman podcast. This is Jerald Dorado, and we are continuing with our 40 Life Wisdom at 40. We are at number 7. Failure is always an option. Okay, so before we continue, this podcast is brought to you by Miucha Lux Cakes. Check out at hello.miucha on Facebook and Instagram. Miucha Lux Cakes is our little online pastry shop, so you can check it out for the best vegan cakes, even wedding cakes, cookies, donuts, and a lot of great stuff that you can only see in that shop. Okay, so that's at hello.miucha. That's at HELLO.MIUCCIA. Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so let's go back to our 40 Life Wisdom at 40. This is a series that I'm doing to commemorate my I think that's the right word. To commemorate, not celebrate. Just commemorate my upcoming 40th birthday. Okay, so I'm sharing 40 life lessons and ideas and creeds that I follow in my that I think are useful in my 40 years of experience in here on earth. A lot of these entries, some I have learned from a very young age, some just recently actually. So it's and some I follow all the time, and some are, I just know that I just know them to be true. But sometimes I fail to follow them myself. So this is not in any way uh, a proclamation of my perfectness. Okay, so this is just because I'm not perfect at all. Nobody is. We all know that. But sometimes we just know things, and we fail to practice it. Okay, that's why I think that's a great segue to the number 7th life wisdom that I want to share, which is failure is always an option. Okay, so if you are watching on YouTube, uh, you will see a picture of this man. He is one of my childhood. No, not childhood. I was already in college when the Mythbusters came out. Okay, so one of my TV heroes, yun na lang. Um, this is Adam Savage of the Mythbusters. This is his quote actually. I don't know if somebody said this before him, but he definitely made this popular in his show. All of Mythbusters fans would associate this quote on Adam Savage, and also somebody that I really like. One of my personal heroes as well. Chael Sonnen has a different version of this. He says, "Failure is always a readily available option for anyone." Something like that. He added the readily available part, and it is true. Okay, so Mythbusters, they create when Adam Savage said this, it is more on the scientific angle, because he creates experiments in the show Mythbusters. But I'm sure he would also recognize this quotes day-to-day implications as a life lesson, as something na pwede nating gawing guide, gawing gabay sa buhay natin to cope with something that is painful, which is failure. Diba? Failure is painful. It is not. It doesn't feel great. Okay. Uh, Failure is even if you see failure, kasi there are people who see failure as as something that is necessary for success. Yun nga isang, and I agree. I agree to that. Definitely. That's basically what I'm gonna say in this episode. And a few more stuff. Okay? So failure is always an option. If you see it as even if you see it as a positive, it is also it will still hurt failing at something. But it's just a matter of perspective on how you deal with that pain. Yun yung usapan dito. That failure, or even the fear of failure, kasi sometimes it's not even the failure yung problema. Yung you just see, kasi we have failed even in our even in our youngest years. You would have failed in at something, or failure could also be failure to get an expected result, which also would feel bad. Kasi failing can apply to not just, let's say you want to, let's say an exam, quiz. That is probably the most obvious example of failing. When you fail an exam, that is failure. But failure could also apply to not completing a task. Diba? Let's say working out, or not committing to uh to an appointment, 'di ba? You failed, let's say, or an appointment, or a promise, or a vow, 'di ba? If you say you're gonna work out now and you didn't, then you failed on that. And failure could also mean failure to get uh I don't know if if you can say failure of expectation. Let's say somebody promised you that they're gonna give you something and they didn't, then that is a failed expectation, diba? Somebody promised you that they would be loyal to you. Let's say your boyfriend or girlfriend promised to be loyal and then they cheated, then that is failure. That would feel the same. Lahat 'yon masakit. Could Lahat 'yon pwedeng makaapekto on how you think and how you would react in the future given the same situation. Diba? Pwede kang madala, pwedeng manatili sa yung yung pattern na yun, and pwede mong i-associate every kind of situation na it would just end up the same. That if you're gonna be in a relationship, lolokohin ka rin lang, 'di ba? Especially if it happens frequently. Of course, there would be parang mga reasons kung bakit nangyayari sa yun. Pero let's not go into that for now. Okay? Kasi patterns din yan eh. But just the feeling of failure is sometimes enough. Sapat na yun para maging protective ka, maging defensive ka, maging pessimistic ka, maging ano pa, maging negative ka sa lahat ng bagay, 'di ba? To be distrustful, maging or even worse, maging ano ka, maging violent ka, maging toxic ka na tao. Pwedeng mangyari 'yun eh. And well, that's just one part of failure, okay? But I what I'm saying is failure feels horrible. Yeah. But still, as any life coach would tell you, failure is not the end. There are two ways of categorizing failure. Eh. Failure na parang you can look at it. Okay, let's rephrase. Okay, so I think there is failure and there is surrender. Diba? Parang you giving up. Giving up is different from failing. I think that is one perspective, one way to look at it. Giving up is not the same as failure. Kasi you can fail and not give up. If you fail and not give up, you can try again and again and again until eventually makuha mo yung tamang timpla. You get the right person, 'di ba? The right ingredients for success, the right kind of mindset. Iba't iba 'yan eh. Iba't iba yung mga ingredients for success. Whether it's an exam or a relationship or anything or business, ganyan, or art, personal development, financial, it all it all has the same formula, 'di ba? Kaya actually the more episodes I do on this series, parang napapansin ko ang nakikita kong problema and or not problem actually or more like challenge is to kasi magkakakonekta yan eh. Parang failing and making excuses, facing consequences and standing up for truth, character, magkakakonekta eh. So the challenge is actually making every episode unique and kumbaga hindi ko uulitin lang kung ano yung mga sinabi ko in the previous episodes. But I think it is a little inevitable to mention again yung ilang mga parts that connect, let's say, this life wisdom, that accepting failure, about accepting failure, na pwede siyang connected sa ibang mga entries on this series. We always, those who read actually, if you are okay, let's just assume that you don't, okay? Kasi parang I don't think it's right, okay? To assume that people already know what I'm talking about. Bakit pa ako magsasalita dito if I'm gonna assume that anyway? Okay, so like I said kanina, failure is different from giving up. Kasi yun yung I think when you give up, that would be defeat. 'Di ba? You are defeated. Talo ka na. If you fail, you can just that just means losing a battle. If you get defeated, you lost the war. Okay? So if you lost a battle, you can regroup and reorganize and come up with new plans, new strategies to try and win the next battle. You are not out. You are just knocked down. Kung boxing yan, knockdown ka, pero you're gonna get the count from the referee, pero hindi pa tapos yung laban. Pwede ka pang makabawi, 'di ba? You just got knocked down. If you get knocked out, talo ka na. So failure, that is just that's an equivalent of getting knocked down. There is another chance. That is the bright side of failure. Meron kang, well, when you get defeated, that would also mean you failed, pero pwede kasing nag-give up ka. Kaya naging total yung defeat mo. And it's again, this is not gonna apply only in sports, in boxing. It could be a habit, 'di ba? Let's say if your mindset is that matakaw ako 'di ba? Mahilig ako kumain Mahilig ako sa cake. Mahilig ako sa miucha, 'di ba? So wala akong magagawa, 'di ba? Kailangan ko kumain. So hindi ako magpapapayat. Then you have set yourself up for defeat. Unlike, okay, nakakain ako ng isang cookie ngayon, parang I feel bad. Kasi in any form of failure, especially if you have a goal and you do something against against the road to achieving that goal, it feels bad whether you want to admit it or not. If alam mo yun, if sometimes pwede kang pwede kang desensitized. Desensitized? Basta hindi mo na mararamdaman. Nasanay ka na, although you know that it should feel bad, parang desensitized. Yun pala, desensitized. Ano ka na, wala ka nang nararamdaman. Pero you still aware that it's bad. Let's say if you constantly cheat with your partner, with your wife, or your let's say your spouse or girlfriend, alam mo yun, sometimes meron akong friend, I have a friend, the first time he cheated on his wife, he really felt guilty na masama sa kanya, masama yung loob niya na ginawa niya yun. But then, the second time it happened, nabawasan na yung guilt until it came to a point na it's just a normal thing for him. But yet, he's still aware that it was a wrong way, it is a wrong thing to do. Na pag sa kanya ginawa yun, maghuhuramentado siya. Diba? So what I'm saying is failing is it's not just failing other people You can fail other people for sure, but the kasi in case of that friend, he's failing his wife. Na she was expecting that he would be loyal to their marriage, pero hindi. He's not living up to his bargain, to yung part of the deal. But more importantly, you're failing yourself kasi kung hindi niya sinasabi yun dun sa partner niya, then siya lang nakakaalam nun. Siya lang yung apektado, 'di ba? And alam mo yun, you can get desensitized, pwede mong kalimutan, you put it aside and not pay attention to it. Pero at the end of the day, alam mo yun eh. Alam mo na that you're just not strong enough to keep a promise. You're not strong enough to hold yourself in in a certain standard, and that is failing, and it would still affect you and your character, kasi at the end of the day you will know what you are made of. Okay, so that's failure. That's hard to accept. That is hard to escape, and that doesn't feel good at all. But then again, if you if you're gonna accept failure, and then you're just gonna live with that. Okay, failure ako eh. I suppose manloloko talaga ako. I suppose matakaw talaga ako, 'di ba? I suppose tamad talaga ako. And then you are setting yourself for defeat, or you are accepting defeat. And just like in any experiment, science experiment, failing or defeat or not getting the job done is always an option. But of course, you can always work with yourself para hindi mangyari 'yon. I suppose it's a different thing when it comes to relationship and cheating. I don't know how much. Pero let's just put this in the context of, let's say, personal goals. Medyo complicated kasi yung relationships eh. I don't know bakit yung naisip kong example. That's a little odd for failure, but I'm glad din kasi it's not it's not the usual example to pick when talking about this topic. So at least medyo unique yung yung episode natin, yung entry natin today. But in context, let's say you're just want to improve in art, or you want your business to grow, di ba? Um you would make mistakes. Of course, it may mga ano eh. There would be books and other resources that would give more detailed explanations in terms of businesses. Pero as an artist, I can talk about failure all day long, 'di ba? So I'm gonna talk about it in that sense na lang. Okay, so if you want, if you are an artist, you have a goal. You should have a goal. If you do not have a goal yet, then you should you should think of a goal. Okay? And actually, most even kasi doesn't need to be ano eh. It could be as specific as becoming, let's say, an artist for Marvel, 'di ba? That is a specific goal. Or you want to to have a one man show na exhibit sa isang malaking gallery, 'di ba? That's another goal. Or you want to play, or you want to work for Lucasfilm, or you want to publish your own comics, 'di ba? Those are goals. Pero I think ang general goal would be to be an expert in your craft, 'di ba? That's number 2. No, that's number 3 in our 40 life wisdom, 'di ba? Become an expert. That is your goal as an artist. And that, kasi That should be your first goal. Kasi if you are an expert, then the next the specific goals would be much easier to do. You can, if you're an expert comic book artist, then mas mataas ang chances mo na makuha na artist for Marvel, 'di ba? Or do the other achievements that I mentioned earlier. So you need to set yourself uh, a bar to reach. And of course, yung journey mo in reaching that bar is not gonna be it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be full of challenges and full of frustrations. And every time you get a roadblock, you can consider that a failure, 'di ba? Lahat ng mga, let's say nag-apply ka, hindi ka nakuha, you get a rejection letter, then you can consider that as a failure. But you, or let's say you get a criticism, alam mo yun? Some people would consider that a failure, 'di ba? Parang you failed to impress somebody that you wanted to impress. That's gonna feel bad, 'di ba? Lalo na kung iba siguro yung unsolicited advice na sinabihan na hindi mo naman tinatanong, sinabihan na pangit ka. Pangit yung gawa mo. Pangit ka tuloy. Magkaiba naman yun. Pero, although bad trip din yun, pero yung failure mo ng expectation na hindi na to meet an expectation that you want, that's gonna hurt. And you want to feel na parang gusto mo, let's say, gusto mo ma-impress yung idol mo, 'di ba? Or gusto mong matanggap sa isang trabaho. Pag natanggap ka, syempre masaya ka, 'di ba? Kasi na-achieve mo yung end result na gusto mo. Pero if you don't, then you would need to challenge yourself. Again, it will be papasok dyan yung humility. 'Di ba? Yung pinag-usapan natin on the fifth life wisdom, parang yung truth being, at saka yung excuses, 'di ba? I think number 5, 6, and 7 are connected. Siguro it could these three episodes could be collected into one broader topic, 'di ba? So, if you're gonna have to examine what you did, how you did, and be honest. Kasi baka pangit nga. Kung bakit hindi pumasa, 'di ba? Baka not necessarily pangit eh. It's more of not quite there. It's good but it's not quite there. Just because that's another misconception about failing eh. Now, if you just because you got uh rejected, it doesn't mean you lack all the requirements. Na parang maybe you just, let's say if there are, let's say, 5 things that they are looking for na gusto nila, kailangan nila para dun sa job na hinahanap nila. Maybe you already fulfilled 5, rather 4 instead of 5. 'Di ba? Isa na lang kailangan mo. Hindi ka naman ibig sabihin nun just because hindi ka natanggap, nasa zero ka. Parang hindi lang, medyo bitin ka lang and you just need a little bit more push. Kasi sometimes, yun ang maganda dun sa if you get a rejection letter, you can ask kung ano yung kulang, 'di ba? And you would also need to be humble enough to accept kung ano yung sasabihin nila. Hindi ka naman, chances are, hindi ka naman nila bubullshitin. Especially if wala naman silang rason para bullshitin ka. But, what I'm saying is, you need to be honest with yourself. Again, that's number 5 of the 40 life wisdom. And try again. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. I think there's another entry for that in the series. Pero just alam mo yun, be better, be we're gonna be talking about more of this on later episodes, pero be the best that you can be right now, and be try to be better than your last performance. That is the goal, to just be better dun sa last outing mo, and do not stop. Okay, we're gonna talk more about that in later episodes, but um well, siguro to summarize this episode, failure is different from defeat. If you fail, you can always get up, and you're still in the game, basically. If you get defeated, the match is over, diba? And some and the good thing about this is this could happen all in your mind. You could be gulpi-gulpi ka na kasi there are people. Look for inspiration. Merong mga tao, alam mo yon, may mga tao na bulag, talaga yung disabilities nila are great. Alam mo yon, merong mga tao na may mga tao na walang limbs, just a head and a torso, and they can still make things happen for themselves. Be inspirational. Do not think of yourself as a victim. Kasi to a lot of people, kaya hindi sila nagtatry ulit is because they make excuses that somehow they were victimized. And even if you are, so what? Okay, got victimized. Take it as a challenge, 'di ba? Take it as a challenge. I know it's just easy for me to say, lalo na kung I don't know kung anong klaseng victimization ang nangyayari sa'yo. Pero you have a choice. Either stay that victim or emerge victorious and conquer things, do great things despite the odds. Okay, so failure is only total defeat if you allow it. And there are plenty of inspiration that you can look upon to find inspiration. Find that person. Maybe it's this podcast. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your parents, your friend, somebody, a fictional character in comics, in anime, anyone who can give you hope to try again, to get up and try again, and do not accept failure, and avert total defeat. You can do this. You can do this. You can rise above it all. There are plenty of people who most likely were in a much worse situation than you are. I know this is not a contest, but still, I'm just saying, if they can, you probably can too. Okay, it's just a matter of rewiring. Check out my other life wisdom in this series. Maybe it will help piece together a few more things in your mindset. But I'm gonna stop now. Okay, and just talk about some of the things that I want to say in the next episodes. Okay, so check out the rest of this 40 Life Wisdom at 40 here on the Powerful Comicsman podcast. Again, this is Jerald Dorado. Follow me, follow the podcast on Spotify and other podcast platforms and YouTube and Facebook. That's it. I'll see you next time. Powerful Comics Man Podcast.